Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this video, we invite those of you who haven't yet done so, to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification icon, to be notified when the next one is uploaded. We'd also like to urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign our online petition for an inquiry into the BBC and Channel 4's coverage of Lewis Hamilton and Abu Dhabi. We recently amended the petition to include Gary Lineker's sacking by the BBC. A link has been provided in the description. If you are on X, then please repost our tweet. Thank you. It has long been established that F1 is at the pinnacle of motorsport where engineering meets human prowess, and putting the best driver in the best car is the ultimate objective. It has also been established since Abu Dhabi 2021 that F1 is now all about engineering the sports to give it a Hollywood ending, where race results are engineered for the benefit of the chosen ones and to the detriment of one Lewis Hamilton. So, it is interesting to note that in the wake of the release of the F1 movie, the Austrian starting grid is dominated by the two teams that it has been associated with, namely Ferrari and McLaren. The movie's association with Ferrari has been primarily through its driver Sir Lewis, while the association with McLaren has been through the team. Was the Austrian starting grid engineered for the benefit of the movie? Well, we all know what happened in 2021, culminating in the Abu Dhabi scandal. Some of our regulars like Umbrella have noted since then how some race results conveniently serve the extracurricular self-interests of the organizers. She pointed out how Lando Norris's long-awaited first McLaren victory after 110 races conveniently coincided with the then presidential candidate Donald Trump attending the Miami GP, at the invitation of Zak Brown, the American head of McLaren. Of course, at that time Trump resided in Miami, so it was rather convenient that Norris was able to inherit the lead due to a timely safety car. At this season's third GP, which was in Japan, the car that was so lacking in performance, that a moaning Max was so demotivated as to concede his title defense, suddenly found the pace to run away with the engine provider's home race. Furthermore, the unfortunate Kiwi who had conveniently made his senior team debut in the season opener Down Under, was controversially replaced for the third GP, by a Japanese driver. So, Honda ended up with a Japanese driver and victory for their home race. Now, we have all learnt since Abu Dhabi that media mind control is a necessary component of sports engineering. It took complete media control to sell the notion that a steward was entitled to rig a race. This defense eventually fell apart, but it held long enough to retreat to the next line of defense, which was, it was now too late to go back. By the time that was broken, the control was so strong that there was no need to put up any more defense. It was what it was. The pervasive extent of the media mind control has been well documented by James Atkins in several of his videos, including the one on how the FIA yet again broke its own rules for Max Verstappen's benefit, and the official Sky commentators set out to gaslight the public during their live commentary. James highlighted how David Croft, the Sky commentator who had been the weaker link during the Abu Dhabi gaslighting in 2021, had evolved into as smooth a liar as his standard-bearing Svengali Martin Brundle. This may very well be why they could afford to leave Brundle out of this afternoon's Austrian GP. But more on that later. As we warned back in 2022, when the FIA came up with its trumped-up report on what they were going to do going forward, in light of their investigation into their own crime, they simply tightened up their ability to better manipulate races. Verstappen was able to romp away with 3 more trumped-up titles amidst a record-breaking spree that would put Lance Armstrong to shame. But what the heck, who cares as long as a compliant media does not report on obvious signs of performance enhancement? However, Ferrari, who had been willing to toe the company line in 2021, broke ranks to sign the GOAT that F1 hated and they coveted in 2024. And in that season, Ferrari also broke up F1's plan to switch positions with Red Bull and McLaren, to allow McLaren to win the Constructors' title in exchange for their supporting Verstappen's title defense. Verstappen ran away with the 2024 title as McLaren ran rearguard, but they almost lost the constructors' title to a strong finishing Ferrari as Red Bull fell away. The only leading team whose performance has been organic this season is Ferrari. All the other teams have had highly suspicious performance histories that would suggest manipulation behind the scenes. McLaren started off as season favourites for the constructors with Norris as the drivers. But F1 had signalled at the start of the season that they had left themselves the option to bring in technical changes in round 9 in Spain that would deprive McLaren of their advantage. Now if McLaren had had a lead driver, that person would have opened up an almost unassailable lead, like Max had last season. But instead, the two competing McLaren drivers took points away from each other as the victory tally was 5 to Piastri, and 2 to Norris and Verstappen respectively. Of course, Norris as pre-season favourite was expected to run away with it, and it's not Piastri's fault that his teammate can't live up to the hype. FIA manipulate races by leaning on the scales, and F1 gaslight their rigging by leaning on the media. Ferrari, for obvious reasons, have replaced Mercedes as their target. This is the problem that Toto had said was now Fred's. It is not surprising that George Russell of Mercedes was able to secure a lights to flag victory in the very first race after Spain. But just like they did last season, the FIA have inadvertently left the door open for a resilient Ferrari to come through. Or could it be that with the F1 movie that premiered on the 25th and was released just 2 days ago, it is convenient for the front grid to feature the McLaren and Ferrari drivers? The two teams that have been linked to the movie from the outset and featured heavily in the promotions. Brad Pitt, the movie's star, and its director have both played glowing tributes to the critical role that Sir Lewis played in the making of the film. Lando Norris has also been credited for his contribution. Do you know who has been conspicuous with his absence? Yes, that would be Max Verstappen, who the filmmakers have given a very wide berth. Wonder why? Could this be why he is also virtually absent from F1's promotion of Red Bull's home race? Sir Lewis is the GOAT that F1 wants rid of, and Max Verstappen is the GOAT, if you know, they want to replace him with. So, why are they so eager to associate their movie with him as much as they are eager to distance themselves from his anointed replacement? Can somebody explain why F1's homepage in the run-up to the first race after the movie's release is headlined with an image of Sir Lewis in his Ferrari? He is currently running second in his team and 6th in the title race, so why is he the headline feature, whose images are scattered liberally throughout the homepage? What about the once-in-a-lifetime generational talent who is going for his record-breaking 5th in a row? Will F1 continue to abandon Max and Red Bull for the duration of the movie's promotion? Or will they start stepping on the scales in their favor after this race? Are we looking at what would be the natural running order if the FIA hadn't been aiding Max and Red Bull behind the scenes? McLaren have been consistently running at the front all season, while Max and Red Bull have made fleeting appearances after each mega tantrum he throws. This suggests that Max, who is falling away from the leading McLaren drivers and into the clutches of the chasing pack led by George, owes his victories to something other than his once-in-a-generational ability to wrest performance out of his tricky car. It remains to be seen if and how the FIA can resuscitate Max's title defense and whether they will even bother. But what is clear is that they will have Ferrari to reckon with. Forza Ferrari.